Venturing out in search of the others, you find that even the janitor had likely gone home. Lights are out and the halls are pitch black. So pitch black that you can't see anything at all. Only the red glow of the light next to the fire extinguisher offers any respite from the quaint, quiet darkness of the school hallway. That you can't see because I guess they didn't want to make it just for one scene. Standing around in the darkened corridors of a school building at 8 in the evening just feels so surreal. As the thunder and rain grow in intensity, the windows begin to condensate with moisture, turning white in contrast to the corridor's sea of black.
これ現実か？さっきまでのは夢だったんじゃないか。
Did you say kenjutsu? I noticed jutsu is used quite a lot as well. A lot of words in Japanese.
どこで何やってんだろう俺。どうした篠崎？あっ！ お前は
ちょうどこんな雨の降る放課後のことでした。
Adorable pat on the head. You're missing an eye, but we can get you an eye patch.
私が誘拐されたあの日、朝、私はお母さんと喧嘩をしてしまいました。何を言ってるの？
わかんねえよ。
Girl, like Yoshiki's horrified expression.
お母さんと顔を合わせるのが嫌で、学校の後、私は家へ帰らずにぼーっと渡り廊下にしゃがんで雨を眺めていました。そうしたら私の隣に吉和先生が座って、うんと私の話を聞いてくれたのです。先生、言葉を話せない病気だったけれど、私は好きでした。けれど
Why does the soundtrack sound like someone sawing something?
ごめんなさい。
She's so tiny, so she must be 5th grader.
カンナ、ユキちゃんね。さっきはありがとうございます。殺された私たちを成仏させようとしてくれて。
結局成仏はできたのかな。
いいえ、できてません。あなたたちから言葉を奪った、脱ぎ取られた舌は返したし、あなたたちにひどいことをした犯人には懺悔させたけど、 やっぱり許せない。私たちの成仏に許す許さないというそれぞれの意志は関係ないんです。懺悔とは犯人と被害者との間に存在して、それ単体で私たち被害者の霊を動かすものです。私たちが天神小学校を異空間に閉じ込めている霊場の断片だから、私たちを動かすという方法は正しいと思います。だけど足りていないんです、犯人の懺悔が。あいつの文化人形が喋った言葉では足りないってこと？あれは
で、なんだよ。なんだって無関係の人間を何人も何人も閉じ込めてるんだ。俺たちをあそこに呼び寄せたのはお前ら子供の幽霊たちだろ。
それは違います。
だと？
私たちは異空間をつなぎ止める歯車に過ぎなくて。
お前鈴本を殺したじゃねえかよ。待って。なあ、
That was delayed.
もう少し聞こう。お姉さんたちだけでも無事に遅れてよかったです。
なんで急に俺たちを気遣うような言い方すんだよ。
私のお姉ちゃんに聞いたことがある。強い未練を残したまま暴力的に命を搾取された霊魂は普通の人でいうところの錯乱状態に近い状態でとどまってしまうって。いろんな感情や思いがごちゃ混ぜになってしまっているから、本来の優しい心と聖者への妬みや敵意の気持ちとをコントロールできずに感情がくるくる変わるって。
お前の姉さんって霊能師？
うん、ちょっと違うけど。
What? Where your voice had to go, Yoshiki? So what you're saying is this little girl and the creepy little girl we met before are two sides of the same coin.
だったらお願い、他の生きてるみんなも持田くんや先生たちも連れてきてあげて。ねえ、できるんでしょ？もうそれは無理だと思います。どうして？あの空間はたくさんの無関係な命を食べ過ぎました。あそこで死んだ人たちの恨みの念がもう満員だから。行き場をなくした悲しい思いたちの影響で全ての霊がわずかに残った理性を失い始めています。私だってもうすぐまた生きてる人をただ無差別に襲うだけの怨霊になってしまいます。あなたも味方してくれなくなるのね。だったらなおさら急がなきゃ。何か持田君たちを助ける方法はないの
She's always thinking about him, isn't she?
一つだけあります。
どうするんだよ。
お兄さんも知っている方法です。あの場所へ戻って私たち天神小学校の児童4名誘拐殺害事件被害者の霊をみんなを成仏させてくれれば歯車を失った異空間は多分消えてなくなります。そうすればもしかしたら
あそこへまた戻るのかよ。それにせっかく残りあと一人だと思ってたのに、済んだつもりのお前ら3人も成仏してなかったしよ。
どうしてさっき口ごもったの？成仏できなかった理由。それは思い出したくないんです。でもどうしても知りたいのなら教えます。あの時のことは。
Yuki's spirit gently took hold of Ayumi's hand, and in an instant, their two beings seemed to merge together into a single mind.
篠崎。
あれ、どうなったの？私気絶したはずなのに意識がある。真っ暗だし体が動かない。
Well, Ayumi, you will soon find out why that is.
疲れた時になる金縛りみたい。
Oh, I know that feeling. I haven't had sleep paralysis in quite some time, but man, sleep paralysis, it isn't a pleasant experience. My experience feels like a freaking, like electric shock.
ここは
So, she's reliving the events that happened here, as you can see. But yeah, sleep paralysis for me is like, it's like you try to move and you just feel like something's forcing you down. And I guess that is what sleep paralysis is, isn't it? But some people with sleep paralysis have hallucinations as well, don't they? Mine is more of like a kind of physical hallucination in a way. Well, it's not really. It's because you're awake, but your body is still in like... Because like, when you sleep, your body does something to make it so that you know, don't just roll all over the damn place. So it kind of paralyzes your body a bit. So when you become like awake but not fully awake yet, it hasn't worn off, so you're trying to move and you can't, and then when you try to move, it's like something's forcing you down. It's like ah, it's weird experience. If you've never experienced it, then all I can say is it's just a weird thing, man. Not a pleasant thing.
体が動かない。
犯行現場で唯一生き残った赤いワンピースの女児篠崎幸子。
You know, it's weird. Well, it's relevant for them to switch back to Satoshi and Naomi intermixed with this scene, because they're going over that as well, which will give further insight on the things. But just like picture, Ayumi is essentially in VR right now, more or less. But VR, I imagine, where she can experience pain.
幸子の家族は事件後怯えるように他県へ移っていったとされている。
Strangely, however, my voice actor disappeared. I've been unable to locate any other records of the Shinozaki family. Isn't it kind of funny how it has the same last name as Ayumi? it's like like a lot of things kind of get expanded on the sequels. As much as I kind of go about like the sequels and all that, they do have some good bits in it. I just feel that they went down the wrong road essentially. Blood Drive was just like, what the fuck were they thinking? Combining a spin-off. It's like there's something called like it has a really weird, like some Japanese games and shows and all that just have really weird long specific names. It's one of those kind of names, and it's just a kind of more comical kind of one. And there's characters from that were added into Blood Drive, so it was in the main series now where these characters were, and they just felt ridiculously out of place. I'll show this one bitch on screen right here. This bitch, I hate her. She is a bitch, literally just a bitch. She has the worst attitude I've ever seen in any of the characters. She's absolutely unlikable. She's just a bitch with tits. She's Miss Fanservice. She has no other redeeming qualities. She's a freaking overpowered piece of trash that ruins the mood every time she's there, which is way too often because the people who made the game were too highly focused on her, and it pissed me off. It's characters like that, that ruined Blood Drive for me. It could have been good. If they just fucking leave out those characters and retain the horror of Heavenly Hosts. But they fucked it up, man. And they jumped the shark with the plot as well. They kind of went from, this is like a horrifying situation to find themselves into, just to be like, no, let's put it on a grander scale and make it more overly dramatic. It's like it jumped the shark, man. It freaking jumped the shark. It was too overkill. They kind of went overboard, and yeah, that's why I keep bitching about Blood Drive. It's because it just completely ruined what this game right here built. This game built a horrifying experience, and then the sequels just kind of went with it and just were like, fuck it, let's focus on different shit instead. Just like take out all the horror for the most part. It's like I haven't played Book of Shadows or whatever it's called, and I've seen bits of it, and it kind of follows more of a visual novel kind of feel to it. But it did at least retain, from what I could see, some of the horrors and all that. Blood Drive was quite lacking that. As like I said, the first chapter in Blood Drive I feel was the best, because it didn't have any of those stupid freaking other characters just taking up screen time. I hate bitch with tits. I forget her name, but I hate her. She's just like, she pisses me off. She's like a wannabe badass and a magical girl at the same time, and also with a shitty personality. So you'll get like lines of dialogue where she's just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Obviously she can't say fuck, because she's saying in Japanese. But just that kind of dialogue, that kind of edginess to it, it just freaking put me off. I hated it so much. It's just, freaking hated that bitch so much. Anyways, back to the plot. No matter where I look, the only information I could find about them comes from the newspaper reports on the Heavenly Host murders. Granted, when an outbreak scroll becomes a stage for a grisly instance such as this, penetrated by none other than the principal's own son, it stands to reason that the scandal would serve as the primary focus for public interest, with all little details fitting into the background. So of course, after learning that such a girl was safe, full news of her whereabouts was largely ignored in favor of the media circus surrounding the school. But there's more to it than that. People weren't just uninterested in learning of such girl's history or whereabouts. There was simply no data to be had. Sad piano music. Can't move my body because of sleep paralysis, I guess. No, you're just in VR and you can't move around. But I can clearly see the room I'm in now. Much like VR, I guess, maybe. There's one boy and two girls in here aside from myself. I recognize them. They're the children who were killed in Heavenly Hosts during that instance, but they're still alive. Oh yeah, I was just wondering, I was just like, where's Yuki though? And then I was like, oh yeah, Ayumi's taking her place here, because she's going in a flashback via Yuki, so she'd be seeing it from her perspective. So that's Rio. That's Tokiko. That would be where Yuki is. And that would be Sachiko. And that would be the principal's son. Fortunately, they're all bound hand and foot and just sprawled out on the floor. And so am I. That's the real reason I can't move. He may be just like, oh, he's just speaking gibberish there. He's just like, ugh. No, meh is actually the Japanese word for I, is just meh. Now I'm blindfolded. I can't see a thing that's happening to me. And since my hands and feet are tied up, I can't remove the blindfold either. Just makes everything so much worse. I guess because I can't see, I begin to listen more intently. And this is what ultimately really this is one of the more disturbing scenes in the whole game, if you ask me. It's just like they don't even need to have a CG up on a screen, because this is just a horrifying situation. It's like, Jesus Christ. The helpless cries of the old children echo off the walls of the cramped room. I'm so scared, it feels like my head's going to explode. Well, that one right there is gonna have her head explode in a way. And we're going to hear all the gory details, I imagine. I'll shut up now, unless I have to read. Okay, I guess I do have to read. I kept begging and pleading, but all I heard in response was the man walking away from me. You definitely see what the occultist meant about him losing his speech or some shit. Because, like, he's struggling to speak. Oh wait, Yuki also mentioned as well. And the flyers, I think, also mentioned as well. In order. Yeah, you're gonna have to sit through 2 deaths before he gets to you. Oh, Jesus Christ. I've never heard screaming like this before. It's pure primal terror, cutting through the air like a perfect sine wave. It's the boy at the end. Ooh. Feels like he's been screaming for an eternity. I think he's being killed right now. You know what, come to think of it. It's like Tokiko, the girl that had her head removed. She had her head removed. Yuki, the ghost that is like showing all this to Ayumi from her perspective back then, had her eye removed. So what did Rio, the boy, have removed? I mean, they all had their tongues removed, but there's always like something, like an added horrific detail, isn't there? I forget what the boy's one was. Well, I guess we're gonna find out. My God, what the hell is he doing to him? No one deserves this. Why isn't God allowing him to fall unconscious so he doesn't have to suffer? It's been at least half an hour now. Jesus Christ. Those inhuman screams of a young boy being ripped apart from the inside. Finally come to a halt. That went on for half an hour? Jesus Christ. Even a single moment of silence, the first of the girls in the line is next to scream for her life, and the symphony goes on. Oh, God, I can't take it anymore of this. I'm losing my mind. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it! Oh, she's the one who got her head removed. That can't be pleasant. No shit. Is it still going on? Come on, just die already. Die already. God, what is wrong with me? You know what? I don't care. Just get it over with. Just leave me in peace. You say get it over with, but now you're next, you know? Finally, after hearing a sound like a heavy object being dropped, the noises stopped and the room grew quiet again. Those footsteps are getting closer. All my hair's standing on end at this point. Everything below my stomach feels like it's frozen, like I've suddenly been stricken with severe diarrhea. In order. God, why am I disbelieved? Which means it's my turn now. Ah! Someone's got me by the hair. They're pulling my head up. And now it's not automatic. And taking off my blindfold, which means I can see the face of my killer. The 4 missing children were found in a basement room at Heavenly Host Elementary School, unused and officially sealed since the building's construction. When authorities entered, they were greeted with an inhumanly horrific sight. Based upon the evidence at hand, the murder weapon was determined to be a pair of large sewing scissors found in the hands of the accused. Investigators suspected some hesitation on the man's part, however, as the deceased victim's wounds did not indicate that his full strength had been used. Nonetheless, he had clearly acted with extreme malicious intent. The official cause of death for the 3 murdered children has been listed as loss of blood following the removal of the tongue. So you telling me? No, that doesn't make sense. Maybe the added stuff came after removal of the tongue? Because, you know, I don't know. The girl who had her freaking head removed, I'm pretty sure she died before you, without removing the tongue with that. So that must have been after death, maybe? You can only fucking hope it was. That would be fucking horrific. But the actual state of affairs was not quite so clinical, nor even so pleasant, if you can believe it. The following details are being related from information previously unreleased to the public, or at least previously unreported by news outlets. These details of the crime are based on the official police testimony of Satsuko Shinozaki herself. Evidently, the victims were bound, blindfolded, and spaced out on the floor, then killed one by one. One was repeatedly stabbed in the abdomen with the aforementioned pair of scissors, then had many of his internal organs forcefully dug out. Oh, that's... yeah. Each of them got their own kind of horrific end, aside from the tongue bit. His discarded innards were found partially buried beneath the earthen floor of the basement room. Oh, that's nasty. But you know, it's like, maybe you're wondering, if you haven't played this before, what with the tongues, you know? It all makes sense by the end of this, trust me. It all makes sense when we find out all the details. And I was stabbed in the head dozen upon dozen of times, to such an extent that all flesh and bone above her jawline was essentially minced away. Jesus Christ, man. My blindfold removed. The sight that appeared before me was more horrific than anything I could possibly have imagined. The person staring back at me, brandishing a blood-soaked pair of sewing scissors, wasn't a large man familiar at all. It was one of the children. It was a little girl, her face dyed red with the blood of her victims. Yep. She was staring intently at me with soulless grey eyes, and then... I mean, look, even he's fucking horrified. Jesus Christ! It was the little girl all along. She just started giggling. I mean, it all makes sense, really. If you've been paying attention, it's all kind of been alluding to Sachiko being behind it all. It's like all those signs where you just be like, oh, my Sachi is so precious and this, and we've seen her spirit wandering around a few times, but we've never actually full-on encountered her. It's been like loads of kind of like hinting towards it, really, hasn't it? But still, what a twist! She was opening and closing the bloody scissors over and over again. The sound kept echoing through the room. Then she took those dull, rusty, thoroughly blood-soaked blades. And it also makes sense why there's like an infirmary got like bloody scissors and shit like that. It all comes down to that. And the removal of tongues. And slowly brought them closer and closer to my left eye. You know what? Kind of off topic a bit, but I always get migraines, right? So a lot of times I only have one eye open and the other eye closed. So like, the reason I'm bringing that up is because it's usually my left eye that's open. I'd be fucked. Well, you'd be fucked either way, getting your eye ripped out. A pair of bloody scissors, literally. Jesus Christ. So it's like she not only killed them, but she tortured them as well. It's just freaking wow. Third victim was stabbed in the left eye an indeterminate number of times, until her eyeball became soup-like in consistency. She was eventually just left like that, slowly bleeding to death in horrible agony. Ooh. Strangely, it was only after those mutilations had already been inflicted that the killer went back and severed the victim's tongues. Okay, so the tongue removal came afterwards. So was it like a false report then? Because it said, oh, the cause of death was removal of the tongue. No. The freaking actual death was obviously, you know, like, Ryo got his innards ripped out. This is just nasty. Tokiko, I think that was her name, had her head removed. And Yuki had her eye completely gorged out. They all died in very different fashions, but I guess blood loss would be the main cause of death, probably. That's from all that excessive. Well, if you have your head removed, though, you'd be it's just horrific. Learning the truth about these proceedings is shocking even to me. Makes it nearly impossible to accept the murderer as anything but a monster. And bearing witness to every moment of this was a 7-year-old girl named Sachiko. In many ways, she's the most pitiful and long-suffering of them all. Bullshit! She's the one who did it! It was through her tearful, frightened testimony that Yoshikazu Yanagihore was officially charged. Now going back to the hunt for information on this unfortunate girl's whereabouts. It was her words that ultimately led to Yoshikazu's sentencing. He didn't even do it! I mean, we've seen him going around bashing people's heads in Heavenly Hosts, but he wasn't behind those murders. I mean, he clearly kidnapped him, but he didn't kill him. That was Sachiko's doing. And obviously she got him to kidnap him. It's just like, but how? Why? We will find out in due time. Therefore it comes as no real surprise that sensitive information pertaining to her and her family would be withheld. That's to be expected. What's not expected, however, is that there's not even the slightest trace of this information left to find. It's as if it simply never existed. Therefore, I cannot help but consider alternate possible explanations. And I remind you, this is a mere conjecture. But one question keeps nagging at the back of my mind. Was Yoshikazu Yanagihore really the murderer of the three victims? Is it possible this crime was not actually perpetrated by him at all? Think about it. In his final days, Yoshikazu was incapable of communicating with others through speech. And despite his childlike reversion, he's always been a personal and friendly man. As the saying goes, he wouldn't have hurt a fly. All his relatives, friends, and neighbors confirmed as much, shocked to hear that such a kindly man could commit these unconsiderable atrocities. You know, that kind of goes back to that scene where Ayumi mentioned her sister and saying oh, these girls can latch on and all that, and make a normally kind person into a horrible person kind of thing. It's kind of it's those subtle little additions to the plot that kind of oh, and that's how this man ended up becoming corrupted. He certainly had no motive for the crime either. There was nothing for him to gain from it. Then again, he may simply have lost his mind. Look at his father. It was around this same time that Principal Takamine Yanagihori suddenly began speaking in tongues and acting in a most peculiar way. Not to mention scribbling incomprehensible gibberish all over his walls, as if possessed. He seemed frightened of someone and would often be found crouching in the corner of his office, moaning and thrashing when visitors came by. If he could wind up in such a belated state with no warning, then perhaps so too could his son. I believe that we're looking at a curse far more powerful than anything man could devise. From the time it opened its doors to the day it closed them forever. Oh. The basements. Heavenly Host Elementary School's sealed basement room has existed as some form of cursed ground. And to find the underlying cause, we must go back beyond the infamous kidnapping and murder incidents. Back a whole 20 years. I believe I may have found a clue that could shed some light on the situation. Maybe a bit far-fetched as leads go, but it is a lead nonetheless. Regrettably, since Heavenly Host was not only closed down but demolished altogether and another school built in its place, it's no longer possible to investigate the basement room directly. But my protege has found what may be the next best thing. Something that can make the impossible possible once more. Preparations are being made to pursue this lead even now.
詳しくは次回の連載にてお
Oh,
伝えし
now your voice actor's back.
楽しみにお待ちいただきたい。
Kokubiki 2003 722 Rocking guitar continued in chapter 5. What a cliffhanger, motherfuckers! Blood covers! Man, what a chapter. What a game. Still got one chapter left. But before we go to that, we gotta find that missing name tag and go through the other two extra endings. And then we'll move on to chapter 5. The longest, I think, chapter in the whole game and has a shit ton of different endings. And because it's the last chapter, the endings get a lot more detailed and kind of there's a lot more that builds up to it. So, let's recap. So, of the main characters, who's dead and who's alive? Well, Mayu and Seiko are the only ones that are dead so far. So, that's something. Yeah, Tokiko, that was her name, wasn't it? Team Grace. Wasn't that a backed up ending to a lengthy chapter 4? So, it's chapter 4 that was. Look at the amount of endings in chapter 5 compared to all the other ones. I just gotta show you how long Chapter 5 is gonna be. This LP was considerably longer than I thought it was gonna be. If I'd known that, I would have even probably bothered LPing anything else. Other than, you know, Resident Evil 2, I guess. I was just like, I haven't got around to recording for it again since part 6. Because my PS3's fucked. And by the time this is uploaded, obviously, I'll have a PS3 and start recording most likely. I've just like, only like yesterday, finally got around to actually buying one. Just wait for it to arrive now. So yeah. This is a long LP. I wonder what part will be uploaded on Halloween. It better be a fitting one, you know. Not just something random. Just like, oh yeah, we accomplished walking into a bathroom, and that was it. That was the whole part. But just, I don't know. Whatever the case, we've got these 2 chapters to go over. They are both unlocked via Chapter 4. You unlocked this one early on in Chapter 4. This one was already unlocked because I'd already unlocked it in a previous save file back in March. So we'll go over those and get the missing name tag in Chapter 4. So let's have a look-see. Chapter 4. Let's see what school are we missing it from. Lexington Senior High School. Just keep that in mind, I guess. Lexington Senior High. Well, anyways. I shall see you next time. See you next time, viewers. See you next time.